Hey guys, it's Quickie Baby and I'm bringing you a gameplay review of, this time, the Tier 9 British tank destroyer, the Tortoise. Now I do have a review of the Tortoise coming up soon, so keep in tune for that and you'll have a full quick tank review on this beast. But for now, I'm going to hopefully showcase you what the Tortoise is really brilliant for. And that simply is this ridiculous 120mm cannon on front of the Tortoise. It has, I think, the highest, or at least one of the highest, overall DPMs in the game. It has a crazy rate of fire with this 120mm, which means that it can fight itself out of a lot of trouble, which hopefully I'm going to showcase. So I'm just going to speed it up a bit, because as you can see, upslope, the Tortoise is traveling at 7 to 8 to 10 kilometers an hour. Having a max speed limit of 20 kilometers an hour really slows you down a little bit in the Tortoise. So we're playing on the 8.7 map, Sacred Valley. This Korean map has some lovely opportunities for this tank. I always prefer to go north. Hopefully I'm going to showcase why. Now, immediately, the Tortoise has a ridiculous weak point on front of its tank. See this machine gun port on top of the tank here? If you shoot this, you will be able to penetrate the Tortoise nearly every time with only 200mm of penetration. The rest of its armor, I mean, its lower plate is very flat, and if you have a clear shot on its lower plate, then take it. However, just simply hit the top of its tank. It's not fast, it's not able to move it very quickly. It has a very large flat surface, which you can pen from almost every angle reliably. One thing that you'll notice as well is that the Tortoise's gun is maybe at the mid part of the superstructure of the tank. What this means is that the Tortoise will be firing out from here, and this is where you look out. So if I click here, if I was in sniper mode now, we would be looking from this part of the tank. That means that, say there was a ridge line in front of us, the enemies can actually shoot your cupola before you can shoot them. And sorry, I'm not sure if this is a cupola or not. It looks just like a machine gun turret. Actually, it does look like there's some viewports there. But still, really, watch out for this. Now, one of the reasons why I'm highlighting this is because on this corner, you can see that the hill, the ridge line that comes out here, will be on the right-hand side of the tank. Due to the wide gun arc of the Tortoise, I will be able to hide this part of my tank, hiding my cupola from the enemies around the corner. Keep that in mind when you're watching the rest of this replay. So here we go, we're trying to snipe the cheeks of the Centurion 7-1 there, but we missed and penetrated the front of the Tiger II's turret. Again, we try and snipe the cheeks of the Centurion 7-1. Now we're going to aim for the top of his tank, but it bounces. Now the top of the tank on the Centurion 7-1 is quite hard to penetrate when you're aiming up at the enemy. And there, we missed the cupola of the Tiger II and bounce off the top of his tank. But can you believe the rate of fire? The rate of fire is just absolutely insane. And again, we failed to do damage, even though we hit his cupola flush. And another bounce off the Centurion 7-1. I really do not have much luck from this position firing up at the enemy. I think it's because of the angle I'm firing up and it maximizes their armor. And another bounce! Okay. I mean, I'm taking clutch shots here, which I'm not aiming very carefully. But, okay, RNG is RNG. Now the enemies are getting confident. He comes around the corner and he gets punished. I take his track off. And take him out there, shooting the nose of his tank, which had a very flat surface. And just look at the rate of fire on this Tortoise. It's absolutely redonkulous. Absolutely ridiculous DPM coming out of this tank. Looking there for the cupola. Finally go through the cupola. We pull back before he's able to hit us. And because of the rate of fire of this tank, I know I'll reload before him. We tried to shoot just to the right of the gun there on the Tiger II, but unfortunately it goes a little bit further right. This Centurion 7-1's going crazy, and we're holding the enemies back here. We try and fire one clutch at the top of the KV-4. It didn't hit him. He comes round and tracks us. That's fine. We look for a shot there on the 7-1, who YOLOs, and we put a big one into him. So just looking at the situation now. We've lost the IS-3 and the Carnarvon, and That AMX-50-100 was never in the fight, but we've lost 2 of our tanks, and the T-30 has been reduced to not much health. Fortunately, we've still got all of our health left. Let's continue. We're against an overwhelming number of enemies at the moment. We fire one straight at the Tiger II's gun there. It was ineffective though. But look at this rate of fire. The rate of fire means we could easily decimate that Tiger II. And here's the rush. They're trying to kill the T-30. I tried to block some of the damage from the T-30 there. You saw me reverse to try and stop the KV-4 from shooting him in the side. But I was unable to really stop the surrounding enemy from taking him out. So I focused down the Tiger II there because I want to take these guys out one by one. But now we're against a Centurion 7-1 with half health and a KV-4 with all of his health left, as well as having a T-30 who's threatening us from the above position. So I decide, okay, 7-1 first, let's get this guy out. Put one into him. KV-4 bounces and the Centurion 7-1 bounces. I'm trying to go backwards and forwards to be unpredictable. And now the enemy do some good work. I have to admit, the enemy do some good work. The Centurion figures out that he needs to turn. And oh, it's not enough. There was another Tiger II round the corner. Oh, that's okay. So I'm trying to get a shot on the Centurion 7-1, but I can't. The KV-4 has got my backside. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to push off the 7-1. Unfortunately, someone on my team killed the Tiger II behind me. I lost my ammo rack. I don't want to use it right now. Now I repair my ammo rack after tracking the Centurion 7-1. And so right now, I've got to get my ass to the tank behind me. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's fight myself out of this situation. I just wedge my tracks in there and oh yeah, now I've got it. Okay. We got ourselves out of that tricky situation and the KV-4 is still there. We shoot at the top of his tank and what I see now is that this guy is actually stuck. I see that this guy is actually stuck from the wreck of his friend that we just created. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing back on the Centurion 7-1, stopping him from pushing it forward. And so we're having a bit of a push war. And I know that the Tortoise weighs over 70 tons. I know that the KV-4 is a lot heavier. But I'm locking in the Centurion 7-1 and he's trying to push me back. And you can see the excellent DPM of this tank just means that we just simply get to eradicate him. We took that guy out so quickly, it was absolutely insane. But the fight's not over. I remember that there's a T-30 up here. So we've done 4,800 damage so far with that engagement. We had a large amount of tanks against us. Fortunately, we were able to take them out one by one. And that really is the environment of the Tortoise. Using its high DPM to fight its way out of trouble. Okay, here comes the T-30. I fire one into the Tiger II's gun there, almost out of frustration at the fact that this huge tank graveyard has just surrounded us. But I want to go for this T-30. I fire one clutch into his track, and guess where he shoots me? It would be no surprise to you. Yeah, he knows exactly where to shoot me, straight in the MG port at the top. But I know that he fired a 155 there. Very interestingly as well, he left me on 1 health, which is pretty crazy because I did have 850, I think, just off the top of my head before he hit me. So that was a very high roll with his 155mm cannon. Still being left on 1 health. That's a bit lucky. Let's use that luck and put it to our advantage. Now the T-30 does something really good here. He pulls back, but unfortunately he lets me have the back of his tank anyway. Now, I'm reloading very quickly, and he's in a lot of trouble. And that shows you that I can fire 3 times for every time that that 155 hits me. The DPM difference between me and the T-30 is just massive. It's huge. That allows me to really brutalize him very quickly, giving him no quarter. So now I'm trying to aim down for my friends. I notice the enemies are capping. They've got 3 in the cap. Don't really have time to hang around. But what I'm thinking right now is that if I go down this ridgeline, as you can see here, then hopefully I might be able to get a bit closer to the enemy and provide better fire support. Because at the range I am now, I could not see the Tiger II and the IS-3. Look, even though the IS-3 and the Tiger II are spotted, I'm unable to see them because of my actual max render distance. So I need to get closer to the enemy. However, being on 1 health It's not really in my interest to get spotted and die right now. I still had faith that this E75 could do some good work. I also noticed that the pattern and the T-54 are coming from the east, and so I don't really want to give up my flanking position and get flanked by them. So we put a good shot there into the Tiger II. We're reloaded and we put another one in. Just hoping for luck that I'm going to be able to fire the third, but he manages to pull back and we can't feather another shot onto the target. So right now I'm thinking that these two Tier 9 tanks should be doing a lot more. All they're against is a crippled Tiger II, two IS-3s, and an Su-122-54. Realistically, the E-75 can't really be penetrated by most of those tanks. I was really hoping that these two would be pushing in and clearing up, while I'm hopefully preventing these two Tier 9 medium tanks from flanking round. That's what I was thinking at the time, but I felt like I had a bit of a lack of confidence in my team, so I've decided that I've got to try and close the distance now to try and support them a little bit more from up close. So unfortunately I was a little slow getting into position, and the Tier 9 tanks have managed to get close to my friends. I put one there into that tank destroyer. I'm not really prioritizing a right shot here. Looking back on this gameplay, I sort of have the back of a pattern there that I could have taken advantage of. I should have really maybe shot that pattern a couple of times here. But the game was over anyway. I noticed that the timer went up to 100, and I was realistically just trying to get some more damage off before the game ended. The enemies were doing well at hiding in the cap circle, and that was all she wrote for me. And that was it. That was my game in the Tortoise. So before I look at some post-game stats, let me just quickly review what we saw here. We managed to win an overwhelming battle on the northern flank, and unfortunately our team got outmaneuvered by some strong play from the Tier 9 enemy medium tanks. Due to the fact that we were crippled, we were maybe a little hesitant to get into the position that I was in, and if I'd gone there more quickly, then I might have been able to stop those Tier 9 medium tanks from flanking our E75. Even still, the E75 and his WZ-120 friend played far too passively considering that the Tier 9 medium tanks were not engaging them front on. They should have gone straight into the cap, been aggressive, taken out the lower tier tanks. Although you do have to be worried about that Tier 9 Russian tank destroyer with its very high alpha 122mm cannon. Well, this replay was more about showcasing the Tortoise's strengths and also its weaknesses, and also as a bit of a prelude to the review that I've got coming up of the Tortoise, which I hope I can get a lot of good gameplay for you guys. So anyway, let's take a look at some post-game stats. So here we are, complete Heartbreak game. We're able to get nearly 115,000 credits and 2,200 experience for a loss in our Tortoise. Now the reason why we got that much experience for a loss is because you guys might know in 8.8 they've made it so that if you win any of the hero medals, aka the steel wall that we picked up, if you got a sniper medal, if you got a top gun, if you got any of the superhero medals, so to say, like a Pools or Radley Walters, then you get the 50% extra credits and experience bonus that the winning team usually gets. And this has been fantastic for me because there have been quite a few games where I pick up either a top gun or a steel wall or a sniper that you end up losing. And getting that huge amount of extra experience is really welcome. If we hadn't already got our mastery badge in the Tortoise, this would have been a mastery badge for a defeat, which would have been a really nice thing to pick up. So anyway, we can see that we're able to do nearly 7,000 damage this game. That's over double what any of our team were able to do, and nearly 4 times what a lot of our teammates were able to do. If you omit the E75, really our team did very little. It was very disappointing. Just looking at the absolute beast of the Tortoise, we fired 34 shells, 31 of those 34 hit, but because we were aiming speculatively at turrets, for example, and commander's hatches, at angles that really shouldn't have gone in, we were unable to penetrate 23 out of 31 shells. Still 7,000 damage. We took 12 hits, giving us a potential damage of 4,900, and as you know, we ended up with 1 hit point left, which was pretty crazy. At the end there, we tried to do some assistance for the 2 Tier 9 tanks that were trying to defend the cap, and we did put in 30 base defense points. I would have really loved it if I was able to get into a better position and assist my team even more. I'm pretty sure one of them would have just fired an HE shell at us, though, because we only had 1 health. So this was really never a situation I was going to be able to win. One thing I will highlight, guys, is that you should never leave a Tortoise alive. I would almost prioritize killing a Tortoise over an autoloader. Anyway, guys, I hope this gameplay has been entertaining or useful for you. If it has, please consider rating the video down below. I'd really appreciate it. And just a big thank you for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.